Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is kind of loosely inspired by Tati's WTF series. That is a series I miss so much, where she talked about kind of strange or interesting makeup products or things that were super expensive to try to figure out if they were worth buying. And I've been kind of eyeing this Sugar Rush line from Tarte for a while, actually kind of side-eyeing it and thinking it really looks a lot like kids makeup. And I kind of had that reaction when I first saw it, like WTF, or I guess in my case, I don't really say that anymore, having a 7-year-old in the house. So usually I'm saying, what the heck is that? So just to not copy Tati's idea, I'm gonna call this WTH instead. If you guys would like to see more videos like this, let me know. If you can think of anything that is kind of weird or unique or interesting that you'd like me to test out, or something that seems too expensive for what it is, let me know down in the comments, and I can always keep doing these as a series. But anyway, let's jump in and talk about this Sugar Rush line. So ever since it came out, I've kind of felt that it had more of a juvenile feel to it, like maybe teens and 20s. But then this palette came out. This is the Star Chasers palette. And when I saw this hit the Ulta website, I was like, that looks like Claire's makeup. I mean, we're not even talking teenager anymore. It kind of looks very tween. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna get some of these products and see if they actually are good, if this palette is actually worth the $38 price tag along with some of the other things. So we're gonna get into that. I've been testing these products out now for about a week or so, and I'm ready to share my thoughts. So let's actually start out with this palette first. This is called the Star Chasers eyeshadow palette. It retails for $32. Sorry, I think I said 38 earlier. $32, still not inexpensive. And on the Ulta website, it says this has a mix of 8 creamy mattes and 12 richly pigmented shimmers. It's a mix of everyday essential shades and pops of color. They have curated quadrants for coordinated looks. It's designed to be layered for an easy out the door look. Clay infused shades for longer, truer wear. It has a vegan formula. And looking at the color story and the swatches, this is an absolutely beautiful palette. I really am drawn to these colors. I love that it has such a nice mix of both warm and cool tones. You can get a lot of different looks. The blues and purples in here are stunning. I love the mauvey pinks as well. It has tons of neutrals. So this is just right up my alley. And when I swatched it for the first time, I almost forgot about the way that it actually looks, just looking at it and thinking about it being kids makeup. When I actually saw the swatches, I was like, wow, this is beautiful. But as I was swatching the matte shades, I did notice a couple things. First is that most of these mattes, you have this really light dusty pink right here. You have a couple more light dusty pinks over on this side. You have this really, really light beige, and then also this ivory shade. They're all very, very light for the most part, except for 3 that are very, very dark. You have this dark chocolate brown, and then over here, the deep navy blue and the deep green. And you really don't have a lot of mid-tone options. I was looking for something a little bit more mid-tone to put in my crease, but I felt like a lot of these other ones were a bit more sheer even than they look in the pan. So the matte formula is very similar to Milani's new Gilded formula. It's very, very silky. It blends super, super easily, but it also doesn't stick to your eyes very well. So what I found out once I started putting this on my eyes is that these really dark shades are not actually as dark as they look in the pan. They're actually a lot more sheer. And if you want them to show up the way they look in the pan, it's probably not going to happen. I tried layering this deep brown in my outer corner for today's look, and it really doesn't stick to itself. So these shadows, like I said, they're super powdery and they just tend to blend away, and you're left with a much sheerer product than what you were actually expecting. On the flip side though, the shimmer shades in this palette are beautiful. They are so super gorgeous. They're creamy, they're foiled, they go on so smoothly for the most part. There are a couple that are a little bit more glittery than others, specifically the ones that are in these little stars right here. I feel like those are more toppers, and then the other shimmer shades are more just shimmery and foiled. So I did actually a combination of shades, and I'll go ahead and quickly show you how I got this look that I'm wearing today so you can see them in action. So I started out with this really light beigey pink color, and I picked this up up on my Profusion crease brush and just blended that all throughout my crease. And I did put down a primer first because another time I used the palette and I didn't wear a primer, I felt like the matte shades really didn't grip. So I put down my MAC Paint Pot and Painterly first just to help this one grip a little bit better, and it definitely did help somewhat. So I was happy with that. And then I went into the shade next to it, which is just like a deeper version. It's kind of like a dusty taupey mauve. It's a really pretty shade as well, but I just wanted to deepen up my crease a little bit. And I picked this up on my Refer number 14 brush, which is a slightly smaller crease brush. So I was just kind of adding a little bit of depth, but not going quite as high as I did with the first color. And then for my outer corner, I went over into another quadrant and I picked up that really dark brown on my tiny little pencil brush from Profusion, and I just started putting this one in the outer V of my eye. And as you can see, just putting it on, it really blends away very easily and it doesn't show up nearly as dark as you would think it would be. And I was really bummed about that because these can be a little bit more difficult to work with if you really like your colors to look defined on the eye. I think when they're super powdery like this, they tend to all blend together and give a little bit more of a muddy appearance. So then for my lid shade, I went back over to the first quadrant and I picked up this really beautiful pinky taupe shade. It's actually kind of the shimmery version of the one that I used in my crease. It's really beautiful and I loved this shade. I thought it went on so smoothly. It was so creamy and buttery and it has just enough shine to it. It's not glittery, it's not chunky. It just really went on beautifully. So I loved this color a lot. But then just to give my eye look a little bit of a pop, I wanted to try one of the sparkly shades in the Stars. So I went down to the section on the bottom left-hand corner and I picked up that shade right in the middle in the Star, that pink, and popped that on my lid with my finger as well. And that one just really was so pretty. It does have some glitter to it. It was a little bit chunky, so I felt like there was some fallout going on, but it wasn't too bad. So I was able to just pat that on carefully without tons of glitter raining down on my cheeks or anything. So overall, when it comes to the Star Chasers palette, it actually performed better than I was expecting it to based on how it looks. I did really love the shimmer shades and I love the color selection. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. The only thing I will say though is that I'm not a huge fan of the matte shades, but if you're somebody who likes that really ultra blendable formula that you don't have to spend tons of time trying to blend it out and you don't mind that it's a little bit sheer, I think you'll actually really like this palette a lot. As I mentioned before, I do think a lot of the matte shades are on the lighter side except for those three really dark ones. So I'm not crazy about that as well. And I think those who have a more medium to deep skin tone aren't going to find crease colors that you can use in here because all the rest of them, other than those three deeper shades, are super light. They work for me, but I don't necessarily think they're going to work for everybody. So that's one more thing to keep in mind about this palette as well. All right, so then moving on, I wanted to try a foundation from the line, and this is the Skin Treat Poreless Tinted Moisturizer with Broad Spectrum SPF 20 sunscreen. So this little tube retails for $32. It only comes in 9 different shades, so the shade range is not that great. It is more on the sheer side, so I know sometimes you can kind of get away with using one shade for multiple skin tones, but at the same time you also have to consider undertone. For example, this is the light shade, so I usually go for a light shade versus fair because usually those are too light for me, but typically the fair shade is what has that pinker, cooler undertone, which is what I am, and the light shade normally has more of a yellow undertone like this one does. So I felt that this one was a little bit too yellow for my personal skin tone, but I was still able to make it work. So let's go ahead and quickly look at the claims on this one. This one says it's an all-in-one, low-maintenance, natural matte tinted moisturizer, that it has a light to medium buildable coverage with a natural matte finish. It instantly smooths, hydrates, and evens out your skin tone. It has an oil-free formula that helps keep shine under control. It's infused with diamond powder to help blur imperfections and diffuse light. It also has non-chemical sunscreen. It has titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, and it's supposed to be just a really fuss-free formula, something that you can just apply with your fingers. So overall, I would say most of the claims are pretty accurate on this one. I was very pleasantly surprised when I first tried this on. Other than the shade not really matching me all that well, I loved how this felt. It basically feels like I took a pore smoothing primer and mixed a little bit of tint into it, and it's just this really beautiful, light, fluffy, whipped kind of feel, and it just smooths out everything on your skin instantly. Your pores look smoother, fine lines seem minimized. It made my skin just look airbrushed and flawless. So I'll show you guys a close-up of my cheek, a before and after, where you can see all the pores on my cheek on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, right after I applied this, it just looks so smoothed out and so even. I really loved how my skin looked. It looked beautiful. Here's a quick shot of me in natural lighting when I first put it on in front of a window. And again, I just think everything looks so smooth. It almost looks filtered. At that point in time, I was very, very happy. But then fast forward about 6 hours or so later, I happened to look in the mirror and I was pretty discouraged by what I saw. So I'll show you guys a couple close-up shots that I took. One photo is of my chin, and you can see that it's kind of breaking up. It looks like it's clinging to dry skin flakes, and that's definitely not what it looked like when I first applied it. And then on the other side, you have my cheek area, and I can see dehydration lines, which basically happens when I put something on that's really matte, and over time, it kind of seems to like suck all the moisture out of my skin and just leave me with this lined appearance, and just it looks really dry overall. So one thing that I could kind of compare this to is like one of those matte moussey whipped liquid lipsticks that feel amazing when you first put it on, but then over the course of the day it gets drier and drier, and before you know it, you look in the mirror and your lips initially had looked smooth and now they just look very wrinkled and puckered. That's kind of what this did for my skin. So I went from first putting this on and feeling like it was the most magical foundation, I'm gonna wear this every single day, to I don't even know if I want to pick this up and use it again because my skin just looks so dry and just terrible. So I was so bummed. This had real potential in the beginning. I think maybe if you don't have super dry skin, if you're more like normal to oily, you might get on with this a lot better. But if you do have dry skin, you may want to avoid this one. Next up, we have the Beach Cheeks Cream Blush. This one retails for $15 and it comes in the cutest little seashell compact. It looks like a little scallop shell, and it comes in two shades, a rosy pink and a peachy pink. So I ended up getting the peachy pink option because the rosy one was sold out. So the claims on this one are that it has a gorgeous natural finish with a quick swipe of your fingertips, two universally flattering pink shades, shea butter, mango seed butter, and avocado oil leave skin super soft, and you can also use this on your lips as well. So when I heard about all the butters that it had in the formula, I started to get a little bit nervous about it being sticky, because if you guys have watched my cream blush reviews over the past year and all the new drugstore ones that have come out, you know that I'm not a big fan of anything that doesn't dry down. So this one, I was a little bit hesitant, but I'm glad that I bought it. I really actually enjoyed this one a lot. You could probably tell from the swatch that this has a little bit of iridescence to it, and that's something that I haven't found in any of the other drugstore options like the e.l.f. ones or the Milani. I really love those, but they go on your cheeks with that cream to powder finish, so they look a little bit more matte. This one doesn't have any shimmer or glitter, but I noticed that when my skin catches the light, it just looks a little bit glowy, but yet it's not sticky. It initially does feel a tiny bit sticky when you're first putting it on, but then after I would say about a minute or two, it completely dries down and it's perfect. So I actually really like this. I mean, yes, there are different options at the drugstore like the e.l.f. Putty Blushes and the Milani Sweet Cheeks that are really similar to this and probably half the price or even less than half the price in e.l.f.'s case. But with those, I don't quite get this glowy effect, which I really, really like. So I don't know if that's necessarily going to be worth paying double the price for you guys, but I actually really like this. I love this color as well. I think it's going to be perfect heading into the spring and summertime. And in a way, this formula kind of reminds me a little bit of Stila's convertible color, but it's at a much more affordable price. So if you like those, then you might want to check this one out, because I want to say those are in the high $20 range to maybe $30. So this kind of reminds me of a more affordable option of that. Next up, we have another one with super cute packaging. This is the Best Bud Lip Butter Balm, and the lid on the pot is a cute little flower. So I think this is adorable. Yes, it is a little bit juvenile, but I feel like this looks really pretty sitting on my nightstand. So anyway, this one comes in two shades. There's a clear version, and then there's this rose color, which has a little bit of tint to it. It retails for $12, and it contains jojoba oil and shea butter to keep your lips hydrated. It also has lactic acid to help gently exfoliate your lips for baby soft lips, and it has an angel food cake scent, which is divine. I absolutely love it. It goes one step further than just your typical vanilla scent. It really does smell like cake batter. It's so good. And I will say, this lip balm, I was kind of questioning whether or not to even pay $12 for a little tiny lip balm in a jar, but I love it. This lip balm is amazing. And it had just about 5-star reviews at Ulta, which is why I ended up pulling the trigger. And I definitely agree with all of them. It not only has that super rich, buttery, hydrating feel, which feels so good when your lips are really dry, especially now in the middle of winter, but also I love that it has the lactic acid in it, because when I wear this to bed at night, I definitely in the morning feel like my lips are so much smoother and I don't have those flakes that my lipstick is clinging to the next day. I just love that this is doing something on top of just moisturizing your lips. It's really a great 2-in-1 option. So this was actually a big surprise for me. It was something I wasn't really planning to get, and I kind of threw it into my cart last minute, but I love it. And I also love the tint of this one. It just has a really pretty rosy kind of your lips but better tint to it. I'm thinking I'll probably go back and get the other shade to wear at bedtime. That one's called Peony, and it looks kind of like slightly pink in the jar, and I think it's supposed to have a little bit of a tint, but a lot of the reviews said it's basically clear. So I'll probably get that one just for bedtime, because I don't really like to wear color on my lips. I feel like it's going to get on my pillowcase and stuff like that. So once I get that one, then I will leave this just for daytime use. But I was really surprised by this. I love it. And then the last product I got to try is this Lash Smoothie Hemp Volumizing Mascara. I got the little travel size version, which is $12, but the bigger version is $23. So it's just as expensive as a lot of other high-end mascaras. It says that it's clinically proven to volumize and curl your lashes, and it's infused with a blend of 6 conditioning oils like hemp seed, castor, coconut, kiwi, avocado, and baobab, plus plant waxes. And it basically claims to give a 40% increase in curl and a 25% increase in volume. So I did notice that this gives a lot more volume than it does length. I normally like something that does both length and volume and kind of gives that false lash effect. This really didn't do that for me, so it's not my favorite mascara in the world as far as the results I got. I'll show you guys a quick before and after, and you know, I think it did a decent job at volumizing. It did definitely curl up my lashes a little bit, but the one downside to this as well is that I found that it flaked on me pretty quickly. So I noticed that I was just brushing little black specks off of my cheeks during the day, and also I found that it smudged on me at night. When I went to look in the mirror, I had like these big black smudges kind of near the corners of my eyes. So not a big fan of this one. I do really love Tarte's Lights Camera Lashes mascara. I think they hit it out of the park with that one, but this one was kind of a bit of a letdown for me. All right, guys, so my final thoughts on the Sugar Rush line are that it definitely performed better than I was expecting it to. Just looking at the packaging, I was expecting some type of Claire's level makeup, but it actually performed a lot better than that. And there were definitely hits and misses. I would say probably I would skip the mascara. I don't think it's anything special. I think there's better ones at the drugstore. Also, the skin treat wasn't for me, but I think maybe some of you might actually really enjoy this if you do not have a drier skin type, if you like something that is more matte, that's a little bit more moussey. In a way, it kind of reminded me of one that Rimmel used to have. I don't know if they still have it, but it was like $3 or $4 for the tube. If I can get a picture of it, I'll put it here on the screen, because this feels almost exactly like that. And I kind of remember that one doing the same thing on me. me. It looked really good at first and then kind of dried out my skin as the day wore on. So, I mean, I would probably, if you can still get that one, just grab that one because it's a lot less expensive, and I remember it being pretty much the same thing as this. As far as the eyeshadow palette goes, I'm kind of torn on this one. I don't really love the matte formula, but I think the shimmers are beautiful. I think the colors in here are really beautiful as well. So if they speak to you and you don't mind working with the matte shades a little bit and making sure that you wear a primer with it, I think it could be okay. And the two things that I think are the standout products, the ones that I love the best, are definitely the Best Bud Lip Balm and the Beach Cheeks Blush. I think these two are definite winners out of the whole group. I love them. I think these are actually the two most reasonably priced items at $15 and $12. So, you know, if you want a fantastic lip balm that's going to exfoliate while it hydrates, check this one out. This was a big surprise for me. And this as well, if you're just a cream blush junkie and you want something that'll maybe give your cheeks a little bit more luminosity than the options that are at the drugstore right now, this is a good one to try as well. When the other color comes back in stock, I would definitely consider checking that one out. So overall, these two would be the clear-cut winners. All right, guys, so that's everything. I would love to hear your thoughts on these products down in the comments below, whether you've tried them or whether you haven't. I always love chatting with you guys and hearing your thoughts. And also, thank you so much for spending part of your day here with me. I always appreciate it so much. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And also, if you like makeup reviews and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, go ahead and hit that so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you all in my next one. Take care. Bye.